it's time? Don't you think it's time?
You know, as we said earlier, it's hard to believe that less than 10 years ago, Naomi Judd was a practicing nurse, living paycheck to paycheck, raising 2 daughters as a single mom. Then, for 8 glorious years, she and her daughter Winona reigned as the preeminent duo of country music. But that's not the end of the story. It's all right here in her new book called Naomi Judd, Love Can Build a Bridge. And here she is, Naomi Judd. It's a walking Christmas tree right here.
I don't usually look like this early in the morning, believe me.
Well, you look lovely. You really do. I've always thought you had one of the great faces.
Well, I smile a lot.
And still do. Yes, you're beautiful, really.
Winona says I am the goofiest woman in country music, so...
The goofiest?
That sounds like something a daughter would say to her mother.
Actually.
Well, how are you feeling? You look terrific.
I feel great.
Do you?
Yes.
Atta girl, very good.
I went to Vanderbilt Hospital in Nashville right before I came out on the book tour, and they checked everything but my prostate.
Would you like me to do that? Why is she here?
I wonder why she told you that.
What is she telling me that for, Joy?
I don't know. How's yours?
What a day for the wife to be here. No, actually, it was quite serious a couple of years ago, and you know, millions of your fans were very, very concerned about it. It was an active hepatitis, right? That is now in remission?
Chronic active hepatitis. Yeah. It's one of the big, bad, scary diseases, but...
How do you think you contracted it, Naomi? Do you think you got it?
Probably through a needle stick. I was an RN working in a small hospital in Franklin, Tennessee. And we may never know the etiology of the disease, but that's a good guess. You know, we don't know anything about viruses yet. That's what causes cancer. It's a virus that causes AIDS or liver disease. And liver disease is the 4th killer in America, but nobody knows that. And it's actually the #1 viremia in the world. Wow. The #1 killer.
So what were your symptoms then? As you were working and you were touring a lot with Winona, you began to feel sick and ill and fatigued?
It's not my style either.
Yeah, sure, I'll bet.
I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I'd never been sick a day in my life. I mean, I worked ICU, and I never had even a cold, so it was pretty weird for the girls to see their strong, proud mama down.
So were you shocked when you found out what the cause of this was?
Oh, yes. But I know that everything happens for a reason. I think the Lord has a plan, and of course the illness doesn't come from Him, but I had to retire, and it was real scary because nobody understood, not even Winona actually, why I decided to do the farewell tour. But my immune system was so compromised, and I had my flagging thymus gland, which is immune control central for the human body. But I decided to do the farewell tour for a whole lot of reasons. One was that I had to say goodbye to these people that had changed my life, the fans. And I also knew that if you just unplugged Naomi Judd from that life, which was everything to me, that I'd just sort of wither up and die. But,
wow, big decision. When we come back, we're going to talk about that prior life, too, okay? It's a wonderful book, and it's all here in Love Can Build a Bridge. Right back in a moment.
Honey, there ain't no doubt I'm gonna dance every day till the cold. Love is alive and at our breakfast table every day of the week. Love is alive and it grows every day and night, even in our sleep.
You know, you really never know what somebody goes through until they tell you the total and complete story, and this is quite a story.
It's an amazing story when you think that, first of all, you don't come from a musical family.
Nope. My daddy smoked Camels and drove a truck and went squirrel hunting and fishing and ran a gas station. Read Mickey Spillane novels at night.
And as a little girl, did you desire show business or dream about it or care about it at all?
No. Actually, Winona and I, she started singing when she was 12 because we lived in Morrill, Kentucky, and I took away the TV. What a concept. And we started singing together really just for homemade entertainment. And at the exact same time, Joy and I were just talking about Ashley, my 25-year-old. At the exact time that Winona and I began singing together, she was 12, Ashley was 8. And Ashley discovered books and learning. and really developed her imagination and a very active fantasy life. So then she planted the seeds to become an actress.
I see. And is that when you got inspired about show business?
Well, no, not really. The whole thing just was such a natural evolution. When Winona and I started singing together, it was really so that the two of us could start healing our relationship. She was a very rebellious young lady, extremely rebellious teenager, and I was a neurotic single mom living on the edge of my mind all the time.
Boy.
But that magical summer really was very seminal because Winona and I discovered music and Ashley later became an actress.
Isn't that something?
And singing together probably brought you closer together then,
Oh,
didn't
yes.
it?
Yeah, formed a bond.
Although I'm sure you must have had some memorable times out on the road together when I would imagine just before going on stage, once in a while you would have a little tiff. And then
Yes.
you'd go out and smile.
Well, you know what that's
we know
like.
what that's
Everybody
like.
knows what that's
Yes.
like. But I mean, working with your teenage daughter, you know, that's a tough
Well,
one.
that's the time
Every
when they're trying
night.
to pull away from you.
Yes.
They're looking for their independence.
I
So.
discovered, you know, when you write your own book, when you write your life story, you become a detective in your own life. And you start understanding why the people in your family are the way that they are. And I also felt like it pulled back the curtain and let me see the little girl that grew up to be me. But really, Regis, it was kind of like putting together an emotional jigsaw puzzle. It took me 2 years in extreme isolation, sitting at home in my big butt jammies to write it.
Big what?
Excuse me, in your what?
My big butt jammies.
Big
Which
butt jam.
That's different from the Victoria's Secret stuff.
Yeah, it sounds
It's hard to write in a Victoria's Secret, Teddy, isn't it?
It was really weird.
But to
being-
go through all those lean times again, no car, no job, and no skills. But
No.
so you went to the medical profession and became a practicing nurse.
Yeah, I actually became an RN because I think all my life, and I know a lot of the women out there can relate to this, we're the nurturers, we're the care providers, and I always wanted to fix it. I cannot tolerate suffering, and I wanted to do something to help people. And actually, that's one reason why I wrote the book. The book was not my idea. Our manager came to me after the diagnosis, and I think he thought I wasn't going to make it. And he had a hint what a phenomenal life I'd had, and he said, why don't you write your life story? And I said, well, I was laying in bed. I looked up at him and said, I'd rather run naked through a Teamster meeting, but I wasn't thinking very clearly at the time. And then a couple of years later, after the farewell concert, on December 4th of 1991, Ken came to me and said, remember when
Wow.
I signed you to a book
Almost
deal?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what it took. Well, let's pause again, Naomi. We'll come right back with more from the Naomi.
This country's rocking to the beat of
Tomorrow on Live, homemade holiday gifts from Martha Stewart.
The only one in the world with a split personality.
Naomi's book is filled with terrific pictures. Let's take a look at some of them right now. And I hear you are with Winona. And these are the early years before all of the fame hit. Singing just what, at home?
That's my darling. She's on the front porch. She's over in London, England today with Ashley. Ashley's up for a big part in a movie. So
Ashley's quite an actress, isn't she?
she's a heck of an actress.
Yeah, I'll say.
And she's got a movie out, Ruby in Paradise,
Right.
is it called?
Could be a nomination.
That's
for
what
her.
I heard
Well,
Gene Siskel
Roger
say.
Ebert of Siskel and
Yeah.
Ebert said she should be nominated for an Academy Award.
There are the girls,
Wonderful.
right there.
What a gorgeous family.
We're a
And if you-
triangle. That's the
Now,
strongest
if you're wondering
structure.
about the guy in her life, well, there he is, Larry Strickland. Larry's your Prince Charming, you
He
say, huh?
is. He is. I was just thinking, looking at you two, how different Larry and I are. I'm lucky if Larry says 30 words a day.
Really?
It's like he says hello, goodbye, hungry.
What else does Larry
Strong
say?
silent type.
Larry's a man of few words.
He's a good old country boy.
How'd you meet Larry?
Actually, he used to be with Elvis. He was Elvis's bass singer. He has this remarkable deep voice, and Elvis used to introduce Larry on stage every night as his alter ego. So I just fell madly, passionately in love with him, actually on first sight.
Really?
14 years.
No kidding.
You know how he asked me to marry him?
How?
He is so shy and such a country boy from North Carolina. He asked me how I'd like to be buried with his people.
Really?
With his people?
Yes.
How did you answer that?
I said, well, maybe in about 70 years.
See how romantic.
Larry's a man of few
A few words.
So in other words, you
Strong
fell in love
silence.
with this guy before he knew you were in love with him, huh?
Well, we fell in love at the same time, actually.
That's nice.
But it's a pretty strange love story. Larry and I have been to hell and back many times, and that's all in the book. But there's of course, as you might imagine, a great deal of humor in the book. There's life-threatening drama, and
Sounds like a miniseries to me.
You know, it probably could be.
the
I mean, it could be a
studios are
movie.
after us to do a movie. But
I'll bet they
I
are.
tell you what, it's pretty scary writing your life story.
Oh,
I feel
please.
buck naked sitting here this morning.
Wish you were. Just kidding. Just
See,
kidding.
now Larry wouldn't say anything like that, would he?
Larry might say, buck. That's about it. One last picture, and here it is. And this was a moment that, you know, everybody remembers. You're passing the crown and the scepter on to Winona, and she's about to embark. Now, as I recall, she was a little bit nervous about this, right?
Yes, she was. When I told her I wasn't that I had to resign from the music career, she said she'd never sing another note. So it was an excruciatingly painful year, that farewell tour year. But when I decided that I was going to do the farewell tour, I felt alone a lot in my life, but that was really probably one of the lowest moments, because the doctor from the Mayo Clinic said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do for you, go home." Larry pleaded with me not to do it, because he thought, if you're sick, you go to bed. You know, you don't go on the road. And our manager sort of stomped his foot and had a fit, because he said, I didn't know if I could walk across the floor the next night, let alone do a show, but he was afraid that we would alienate the promoters, because we had a good reputation in our industry. And I was afraid the fans wouldn't understand if I wound up counseling. But the hardest part really was Winona, because she and I have always been telepathic, and she didn't get it. She was afraid that I think, collapse on stage or have to be hospitalized somewhere in a strange
But it was a
town.
triumphant tour.
She's
Yes,
gone on
I'm
to
the
so
only
well.
one who knew what I was doing, and it was the highest stakes gamble of my life. I was literally risking my life, my reputation, our image, everything.
Wow.
But I had to do it, and I believe in the mind-body connection.
Well, it certainly worked. You held up beautifully. It was a wonderful tour, and Naomi is off now and flying on her own and doing very well. Incidentally, will you and Winona be with Bob Hope on his Christmas special, both of you?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's Wednesday
The
night.
Judge will be on with Bob Hope on Wednesday night. Here's the book, Love
reunion.
Can Build a Bridge. It's a great book. Naomi, thank you very, very much. It was wonderful having you here.
Pleasure being here.
Phil Collins coming up next. We'll be right back.
You know that I need it.
Tomorrow on Live, the sounds of Jody Watley.